All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry for the wait. If you didn't see my last video, I was really going through it, and I still am continuing to go through it, but this needs to be done because we're finally going to be talking and reviewing Scream 5. Hi. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today, we are finally going to be reviewing Scream 5. Now, I saw this last Thursday on the 13th at like a special showing at 7, and I needed some time to accumulate my thoughts and feelings about this movie, because now that I look back on it, and even after I initially watched it, I enjoyed the movie, all right? And I will give my rating at the end of the video. And also, I will have a spoiler-free section and a spoiler section with spoilers, I guess. So make sure to click upon whichever section you want. If you want the spoiler-free, this is what the spoiler-free version is going to be, and then the next part is going to have spoilers. All right, you guys get it. But yes, I saw Scream 5, and I am in love with Scream as a franchise. I love the self-awareness that they have. You know, if you've seen any of my reaction videos, I like movies that are self-aware. Trick or Treat and Krampus were also very self-aware, so I rated them, or they're very high on my list. Nothing is worse than a movie that is bad and they don't know that they're bad, or a movie that is cheesy, or that is trying to scare you with jump scares, but they're trying to play it off and fool you, and then they don't know and they don't acknowledge, and you know what I mean? So there's that. I really enjoyed this movie because it did feel like a Scream movie, although the main characters from Scream weren't in it for that much of the movie. The plot was kind of, I don't want to give, actually, let me see something. I want to see like what you can see online, because I don't want to give out too much of a spoiler unless it's in the freaking description of the movie. Okay, so it doesn't really give that much of a description, so I will not do that. But basically, the premise for this movie was kind of weird, not gonna lie. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it, and even watching it, I was like, is this really like what we're going with? Is this really what's happening? It seems kind of, you're just grabbing for anything at this point to relate it back to the original, because let's be frank, first one, all right, directly they're going to Sidney because of Sidney's parents. All right, second one, we have the mom coming after Sidney because she killed Billy Loomis. All right, makes sense. Even the third one, a jealous half sibling, all right, makes a little bit of sense. The fourth one, a jealous cousin. All right, cool. I understand. This one, it's like, I don't really understand. They're not really that connected to Sidney, and that's kind of the whole point of the Scream movies. It's not really that connected to Sidney, but it happens, you know? And you know I love a good explanation, and that's why I love the Scream movies as well, because they explain pretty much everything that's going on. I went with my fiance, who's not that familiar with Scream, but afterwards, even he was kind of like, okay, this movie, it was really self-aware. It was really like, okay, we get it. This is what's gonna happen next. And then the killer always suspect the boyfriend, or like, you know what I mean? How in every Scream movie they have that whole ass monologue. I had to explain to him that's kind of the idea of Scream. So I can understand for someone who's not that into Scream watching this and being like, okay, we get it. You're explaining a lot right now, but you have to go into it knowing that that's just what they do in the Scream movies. But I really don't see why you would go to see Scream 5 if you haven't really seen the other ones. Maybe it's someone like in my fiance situation. You just went along for the ride. Who knows? On that note, I actually did enjoy it. You know, there were a couple times where I was like, they're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? I did find myself kind of being fooled because even when I watched the very first Scream movie, which if you haven't seen that reaction, go ahead and do so. But I was like, nah, there's no way it's this person because it's too obvious, right? Or it can't be this person. They're so creepy, or they're in too many scenes, or too much of like a main character. And sometimes that just happens, you know? It happened in the first one, and that's about it. You know what I mean? The second, third, and actually it happened in the fourth one too, all right, with Jill, because she was like a really big main character. So I liked all the little callbacks and Easter eggs they had throughout the film as well. It really did feel like a true Scream movie, which I was a little worried about considering that Wes Craven he did not direct this, you know, our legend, Wes Craven, rest in peace. But for me, I really enjoyed it. Now, I did talk about this with my cousins afterwards, and they really liked it. One of my cousins kind of pointed out that it kind of was just like, oh, new characters, and we're gonna throw in the old characters so it feels like a Scream movie. And for me, I'm like, okay, if you wanted to leave with just the fourth one, like Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, I would get it. I understand. The fifth one was not necessary, let's be honest, but it was a good movie to close out the franchise. Like, I really don't see them doing another Scream movie after this, although who knows? Hollywood just be stupid sometimes and just be, you know, just doesn't know when to stop. So that is a possibility, but for that, I would have to say I think that's kind of like the point. And they explained that in the movie too, where they're like, it has to feel genuine with having people from the old or the originals to be back in. So it's like a revamped Scream with new characters, but you still have a decent enough plot line to where the old characters are relevant. And for that, I do understand. Like, I do think that's what happened. Although the plot didn't really call for the people in the original to come back, to be completely honest, but they did anyways. You know, it's in the trailer and you see them and they're there even though they really don't need to be there. But like, the only one that really needs to be there is Gail, because she's like reporter and blah blah blah. Like, it makes sense for her to keep coming back because she's like, I gotta like the headlines in the news and blah blah. So that makes sense. But like for Sidney and Dewey, it's like, do you really gotta come back? Do you really though? So for that, I think you have to like understand that before you watch this movie, because you can't watch it and be like, it's not about Sidney. It's like, Sydney's 40 years old. What other enemies does she have out there? You know what I mean? She's living her life. She has kids. She's married. Come on. Let's be honest with ourselves. Why would we expect something more? Like, we kind of did all the tropes we can for the previous Scream movies. So all in all, that's what you have for this spoiler-free section. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into the spoiler-filled section, I guess. And I just have to say, what the fuck? If you've seen the movie, then you know what I am talking about. Like I said earlier on in the video, there was times where I was like, there's no way this can happen. Come on, they can't actually do this. And then they did end up doing it, you know? So first of all, like the main plot and the whole scenario and situation was Sam, who is our main character, is the love child of Billy Loomis. I felt like that was a little bit of a stretch. I was like, that's the part where I was like, really? That's the plot we're going with? It seems kind of like you're grasping for any straws right now. I don't know what the saying is. Grabbing for anything. I don't know. Life preserver over here. It seemed a little cringe. I was like, really? The love child of him? But I guess it kind of makes sense because he doesn't, because in the first movie, we know that he actually didn't really care about Sidney and he just got with her so that he could kill her, basically. So who knows? I guess take with that as you will. I thought it was kind of weird. And I honestly, even the entirety of the movie, I didn't really go along with it. I thought it was going to be interesting that she became murderous in some way because of that, but that didn't happen. And it also kind of bugged me that they mentioned him so much that he was brought up, and they had like a bunch of flashback scenes, or they had a bunch of scenes where he was kind of like haunting Sam. Billy was haunting Sam. And I was like, oh my gosh, the actual actor is there playing this. And they didn't do anything like that with Stu. They brought literally everyone back except for Stu. And I guess Randy, but still, they had Randy's sister in it. So there you go. But yeah, that I was kind of like, I don't know about that being a plot. Along with that, this is when I was like, dude, there's no way that they're gonna kill Dewey. Big spoiler. All right. And I was like, you know what, that can't just happen. You know, he's too big of a character. And let's be honest, what can kill him at this point? He's been stabbed like so many times, basically facing death in every movie, basically. And lo and behold, they actually did kill him, like straight up. I will say this movie was way more gory than I thought it was going to be. Way more graphic than the other Scream movies. It's no, you know, Saw, but it is pretty graphic, and I was like, ooh, okay. But it's fine. It wasn't too bad though. I don't care about that. Yeah, that was sad. I legit cried. I cried in the theater. It was just a lot for me. Yeah, that shit was messed up. I did enjoy how everything kind of connected, and I did notice some Easter eggs. I saw the Elm Street, you know, road crossing in Woodsboro that they always have as a, you know, reference to Nightmare on Elm Street, also directed by Wes Craven. And there was a scene where they're like looking at something online, and you see in the suggested videos interview with Kirby Reed, survivor of, you know, Woodsboro attacks or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Kirby from Scream 4 is alive, and they hint at that and show that. So I was looking for little things like that too. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that they kind of reference from the other previous movies, going to certain places or saying certain things, and I actually thought it was pretty clever. There was that whole last scene, and the kill count was not that much, honestly. Like, they did not kill that many people. What, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's just it. 6 people, counting, you know, the killers too, because a lot of the killers did have to die. Yeah, the whole scene with Mindy when she's watching the Stab movie and the same thing's happening to her in real life, that was pretty funny. It was pretty clever, and I enjoyed it. Honestly, I just enjoyed the movies, and that's all that really matters. I just can't believe that they actually killed Dewey. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I can't believe they actually did that. Also, freaking, I keep exiting out. Whatever. The other main character girl who gets freaking sliced up. Okay, Tara. Duh. And Tara has 9 lives. Seriously, like how I kept watching and I was like, how are you still alive? Like, truly, how is she able to move? I would be in so much pain. I will say, like, there were some parts okay, so now let's move along with that. So on Rotten Tomatoes right now, it has a 7 out of 10 and a 75%. 88% like this movie. Okay, that's pretty decent, to be completely honest. Something I will say that I thought was kind of, okay, we get it, was not even like the self-awareness in it being a horror movie. Sometimes the jokes that they would make, I was like, okay, that's a little cringy. There was a part where Richie was like, okay, Gen Z. And I was like, all right, dude, come on, just stop. You know, just weird jokes about like, oh, like Gen Z. And then even Wes Hicks, his character is supposed to be like, ooh, I'm so protective. Everything freaks me out, which also was something that bugged me. They hinted at him having a crush on Tara, and there's one scene with them. I don't know if it'd be too much for him to be blatantly, oh, like stuttering in front of her, or like, I just like got you these flowers and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I can understand why that would be cringy, but that would be more believable and give a reason to why people in the friend group were like, you have a crush on Tara. And he's like, what? No, I don't. Like, she's just my friend. Like, that would make more sense, but that didn't happen. He was just like, what? That's random. And that was about the end of it. I was like, okay, that was kind of useless and added nothing to the plot, but okay, add the drama if you want. Yeah, but Wes Hicks, his character, he would be like, you gotta cover your phone camera screen, you gotta cover your thumbprint, like the government's always watching, blah blah. And I was like, okay, dude, we get it. But it was all of his lines were just like that. It was nothing else. It was just him talking about that. Yeah, it just felt they were trying to be like, see, we have someone that is trying to be logical and talk about having, you know, a taser and pepper spray on you. Okay, I get it. It seemed a little in your face for a Scream movie. I wish that they toned it down a little bit, or maybe just a sly mention of it, and that would have been fine for me. But other than that, and the deaths were pretty brutal, not gonna lie. I mentioned this earlier that it was a little bit more gruesome and graphic than the past Scream movies, which it is, but there you go. Just the way that Dewey died and the way that the killers died too, I was like, ay chihuahua. And even in theaters, I was watching Sam kill Richie and I was like, okay, Miss Bitch, I understand, but like, come on. Gosh, if they try to like continue the franchise with her being a killer or her being like, I'm scared the Billy Loomis is gonna come out in me or something, I'm over it. I won't acknowledge it. It's not gonna happen. No, 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 not in my eyes. So that is the movie, all right? I will say I was skeptical of Dylan Minnette being in this because I'm kind of traumatized from his days on 13 Reasons Why. Everything he just does is cringy to me now, but he actually surprised me. I mean, and surprised, like, the acting was actually really good in this. I was also kind of skeptical of Jenna Ortega being in this too. She's from You. She's also from another Disney Channel show as well. So I was skeptical of those two because I kind of already knew who they were prior, and they actually surprised me. The acting was really good, and by good I mean like they didn't annoy me. At least for Dylan Minnette's part. I don't want to hate on him too much. I'm just traumatized because I watched 13 Reasons Why and I'm just like, I'm over You, basically. Get it? You, because Jenny Ortega is from You. Jenna Ortega is from You. So there you go. The acting was good. Plot decent enough to make a movie about it. I enjoyed it and it was funny. That's what you look for. You look for the comedy in these type of movies. I liked it. You can't, freaking Ghostface is just a cool concept and killer. And I kind of like that they, like the whole thing from every movie is that the killer just wants to be famous, basically. And that's the only reason why they are doing what they're doing. And I was like, okay, makes sense. That was obviously the plot for this one too. They just want to be famous, I guess. But I like that it also tied into the same locations, the same houses, you know, even the same cast. They're all connected some way, somehow to the original cast. All right, I get it. I like it. I'm into it. So there you go. Ghostface is just an amazing concept and such a simple mask, but so badass at the same time. I would kill, not actually, but I would love a Ghostface mask to have in the background, you know, have it on that desk or this little bookshelf right there. That would be awesome. That's my goal for 2022. But they're so expensive and sold out literally everywhere. So there you go. All right, so all in all, I enjoyed this movie. All right, it was funny. That's what I want. Self-aware. It was scary. And I forgot to mention this in the spoiler-free section, but it is a lot more graphic than the past Scream movies I've noticed in terms of like the deaths, and they were showing all the blood, and guts. And I mean, it's no Saw, but it is a little bit more bloody than the past ones. So just be aware of that. It's not anything too bad, but just be aware because Scream isn't one that is known for being super graphic, aside from the first one. Like really, we haven't upped our game since the very first kill in the very first Scream movie when freaking Drew Barrymore's character got hung in a tree with her own organs. That is disgusting and terrifying, and all the other killings in every other movie has just been stabbing. So there you go. There you have it. I enjoyed it, all right? And I'm just here for a good time. And that's what I did. I laughed. I cried. It tugged at my heartstrings. It had me thinking. And that's what I want a movie to do, all right? Out of 10, see, the IMDb score is 7.3 out of 10. The Rotten Tomatoes score is 75%, which, like, who cares, am I right? And the Google users, 88% like this movie. Okay, so for me, I actually really enjoyed it. I would give this... See, it kind of feels worse. It kind of feels bad to give this a higher rating than even Scream 3 because I'm not so sold on this plot, which again, no spoilers. You just have to watch the movie and you'll understand why the plot's a little iffy. For me, it seems kind of random. I don't like randomness. Scream 3's plot was a little random for me too, but even then, okay, sure. Without ranking this higher than Scream 3, I would give this an 8. An 8 or a 7.5 out of 10. I'll decide by the end of the year. I'll have to watch it again, maybe, to really fully grasp what I am truly feeling in my heart. But there you go. If you want to watch it, I actually do recommend that you do go and see this because it is a good movie. And I like that it is just kind of called, like, it's just called Scream because they kind of talk about it being a revamp of the original Scream, but it has the same original characters. Roger L. Jackson's still the voice of Ghostface. So it's just called Scream. And in the movie, like the title screen, it just says Scream. It doesn't say Scream 5 or anything like that. But obviously when you look it up, it says you look up Scream 5. So there you have it. 7.5 or 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Just make sure if you are going to see it, keep in mind that the plot is not going to be centered around Sidney. Just straight up. That's not really a spoiler because there's a bunch of new casts anyways. I mean, there's a bunch of new people introduced. So let's be honest, it's not going to be centered around Sidney. They kind of just brought her back when they were like, remember when this happened? She's like, oh my God, yes, I do. So there you go. Keep that in mind. Don't expect super in-depth plot because you're not really gonna get it, to be completely honest. Let me know what you guys think about this movie down below. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? If you're gonna do spoilers, please make it obvious and say like, this is a spoiler right here, and like bold and emojis and everything, so people who haven't seen it can read it and not have their day ruined. So thank you guys for coming along with me on this journey. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that jazz. And as always, thanks for watching.